got Bianca and Daniel in this last episode of Life After Lockup. It starts off with Daniel, and he decides to go to the bar, and he has not talked to Bianca in days. She's back home in their apartment with all this furniture that needs to be put together because they moved in. I guess they decided to just start from fresh with all new furniture. She's back at home worried sick because this is unlike Daniel. And meanwhile, Daniel is at the local bar getting drunk with his friends, some of his co-workers, and his boss. And I know Daniel no longer works for that job, thank God, because, I mean, that's just a terrible setup if you're working with somebody or working for somebody who's actively encouraging you to drink, knowing that you're an alcoholic and knowing you're not supposed to legally be drinking, because his probation officer, that's one of the rules. If he gets caught drinking by his PO, he can get violated. And he's got to be dumb as hell to sit here and be drinking on national TV, because even though it may not air on TV for a good 9-12 months, his PO is eventually going to see that, and if that was his PO, I would be violating him in a heartbeat. That's what I was saying in one of my previous videos when Daniel claims he's drank one time before this. I highly doubt it was just one time, because if you can't even go a couple days of filming without having to get a drink in front of the cameras, in front of the whole world, then that definitely tells me that you have more of a problem than you're leading on. And what did he expect to do when he left the bar? Because he has that machine in his car where he has to blow into it to be able to drive anywhere, and he drove himself to the bar that day. So was he going to sit there and take the chance of blowing into that device? And I wonder if he blows and there's alcohol in his system, if that gets sent over to his PO. But anyways, he's sitting there getting drunk, having one beer and one shot after another. His friends are sitting there encouraging it, and those are shit friends, because if those are real friends, they should be caring about Daniel and his well-being and his future. But it's like they don't want no confrontation. It's like they don't give a damn what happens to Daniel after today, as long as they can have a good time with him right then and right now. And that's not cool at all. Daniel's friends kept saying, oh, well, it's just this one time you're drinking, as long as it's not an everyday thing. But Daniel's already admitted that he's already drank once before, so it's obviously a slippery slope. And Daniel's sitting there ordering drink after drink. Bianca's blowing him up the whole time. He's sitting there hitting that FU button. And I feel like this would have just done a number. Yeah, he could have answered, and she probably would have been upset, and that could have put him in a worse mood. But if he would have just text her earlier, or just even said something to her, I think she would have chilled out a bit. Just the fact that he wasn't answering at all is what has her freaking the hell out and thinking the worst. And he's just sitting there laughing it up. He's like, oh yeah, I don't want to talk to Bianca. And his friend was like, well, is Bianca the reason you're drinking? And I think his friend was wanting him to blame it all on Bianca. And he said, well, partially. So I will give him credit that he didn't put all the blame on Bianca. But at the end of the day, Daniel's a grown-ass man, and he is the one who decided to put those drinks in his mouth and drink them. And that's why he's avoiding Bianca, because he knows Bianca is going to hold him accountable, and he doesn't want to live being held accountable. At this point, Daniel's not Daniel anymore. The addict in him has done a full-on takeover, and now he's out here hiding secrets and being deceptive towards Bianca. He's been avoiding Bianca, and I don't think it's because she's stressing him out. It's because he does not want to have to feel guilty or shameful over what he's doing, and he's trying to protect himself drinking and trying to keep it a secret so he can continue to do these things in private. He's pushing Bianca away, and he's surrounding himself with people who are encouraging and supporting him drinking. And he has sat there and made excuses for all these things that he would typically be against, and that's just because he wants to just use so bad he's minimizing the real consequences of his actions. But Bianca walks in the bar and gives him a dose of reality. She sits down, asks him what he's doing and why he's been ignoring her. He said, look, I needed time to myself. You've been driving me crazy. And Bianca was like, well, this is supposed to be a partnership. How would you feel if I just went MIA for days? I didn't tell you anything and I couldn't even pick up your phone call or just send a text. It's really easy to just send a text. And Daniel was like, I told you I needed a break. But the thing is, Daniel never told Bianca he needed a break. He said he was going to court. He said that he wanted to go to court by himself so he could just clear his head. But besides that, he never said he needed a break. He just suddenly went missing. And that's what threw Bianca off the most. If he would have just said, I need some time off, I think she would have just fell back. And then maybe after a few days hit him up if he hadn't hit her up by then. If any of Daniel's friends, if any of them were married or like were in a serious relationship that they've been in for like, a few years and they're like moved in with each other, if any of them just suddenly went missing and didn't hit up their girlfriend for a few days, I'm sure their girlfriend would be doing the same exact thing. Or if the shoe was on the other foot and if their girlfriend just went missing. But Daniel just wants to act like he wouldn't care if Bianca did that because if she needed her space, he would give her space. But it's just, I think Daniel just making excuses, saying, oh, I wouldn't make a big deal out of it, so you shouldn't make a big deal out of it. Daniel just wants Bianca to shut up and be quiet about things and sweep them under the rug just because he said so. But I guarantee you, if Bianca didn't say anything to him that night, he would be blaming Bianca in the future for him drinking. Oh, well, she didn't stop me. She didn't say anything to me, because he's looking for anybody else to blame but himself at this moment. And he sat there and was just drinking, smiling, like everything was just so cute. And Bianca, you could tell she was hurt. And she even looked at his friends and said, you guys are okay with him drinking? You guys do know he's on probation. He's not allowed to drink. And even knowing that it's against his probation and it could land him back in prison, his friends were still like, yeah, he's a man. If he wants to do that, he can do that. He knows what it's going to do to him. And just because he's a man, that doesn't make an excuse for it. If he goes and jumps off a freaking cliff, you're gonna say it's okay just because he's a man? Like, you should be sitting there and checking your friend when they're about to F up and ruin their lives. His friends are all laughing like it's no big deal, but I guarantee you they would not be laughing if he left that bar and sat there and crashed and ended up taking his own life, or some innocent victims' lives who were just driving on the road because Daniel wants to be stupid and drive drunk because he was freaking wasted. After Bianca was starting to scold his friends were like, okay, we're gonna get out of here. We're not trying to hear this shit. So they said they were gonna leave. They said their byes to Daniel. Daniel had some food he ordered that he got to go. Daniel kept interrupting Bianca when she was trying to talk, and she was like, can I please speak? And he said, no, I don't give a damn what you have to say. And she's like, okay, then I'm not going to sit here and talk to you. And she decided to walk out of the restaurant bar that he was at. And Daniel sat there for a minute. He almost looked like he wanted to order another drink. But he's like, okay, maybe I should go out there. All my other friends are gone now. So he walks outside, and his ass was so drunk. He sat there and dropped the food that he got to go everywhere. It spilled all over the sidewalk. He probably left it all just sitting there on the sidewalk. If he could even just walk down the sidewalk, then there's no way he could have drove a car. So thank God Bianca showed up to drive, because Daniel was really trying to drive, but Bianca was like, no, you need to get in the car with me. So he walks up and gets in Bianca's car, and Bianca was being quiet. She just sat there, and you could tell she was really in her head. She started driving. Then Daniel got super angry and just started popping off on Bianca. He's like, you don't do shit unless I tell you to do something. And he said, you're a freaking bitch. And she's like, what? Did you just call me a bitch? And he said, yeah. And he was getting so mean and so angry, yelling all in her face. And she's like, no, I'm just going to remove myself from this conversation. There's no talking to you right now. You're acting freaking psycho. And then all of a sudden, Daniel was saying, I'm going to jump out of the freaking car. I just think that he just wants to leave. I think he honestly just wants to go and get drunk by himself. And he knows he effed up, so he doesn't want to be near Bianca. At this point, it's obvious that Daniel's love for alcohol has outgrown his love for Bianca. And it's just a downward spiral, I think, for Daniel at this moment. He looked like a whole different person. He looked and sounded like a whole different person when he got drunk. Like his eyes were going all cross-eyed when he was in the car arguing with Bianca. I'm like, damn, thank God he's not behind a wheel of a car right now. That's all I kept thinking of. It just goes to show you how fast someone can change as soon as they relapse and let their demons get the best of them. And I do feel for Bianca, because here you are in love with someone, you think they're trying to do better, and then just like a light switch, they're completely different overnight. And now I'm sure she's trying to figure out ways to get out of this relationship, because it doesn't look like this behavior is going to slow down anytime soon. But that's it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about everything in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.